Chicago in the Hyde Park community in 1921. At an early age, I don't know, maybe about 4 or 5 years old, my parents left Hyde Park and went to the Douglas community down on 32nd and Ellis Avenue in Chicago, and that's where I was raised. I went to Douglas Elementary School, Wendell Phillips High School, and I was drafted in the Army in October of 1942. I spent all of my time in the jungles of Assam, India, and northern and central Burma. It was several years after I got out of the Army that I began to feel a sense of lostness. I wasn't happy with what I was doing. I was what you might call a bon vivant, a good liver. My major interest was, you know, the nightlife, nightclubs, etc., etc. Club de Lisa, Rum Boogie, Dave's Cafe, Grand Terrace. But I wasn't happy with that. And I finally surrendered myself to Christ in 1947. One of the greatest things I ever did in my life. It changed my life totally and completely. Shortly after that, I felt a call to the ministry. I really didn't know what that meant. I asked a lot of ministers, how did you know when you were called by God? I never really got a satisfactory answer. And to be very honest with you, a lot of young men today ask me, how do you know when you're called by God? And I don't give them a satisfactory answer. I think it's something that you have to feel on the inside. It's a compunction, it's an urge. In 1952, at the passing of the pastor, I became the pastor of a very small mission church, what we call a storefront church. We probably had about 30 members. In 1960, I was called to be the pastor of this church, which had at that time about, I would say we had about 100 active members. And of course, I've been the pastor of this church ever since. Obviously, we've grown from 100 active members to over 18,000 active members. But that's been over a 40-year span, and God has used our church in a very powerful way.
It is written that the Lord is coming back again. It is written that there's a place called heaven. It is written that there's a place called hell. It is written that the Lord said, I'll never leave you. It is written that I will never forsake you. It is written if God gave his only son, how much more will he give to those of us who love him? It is written.
When Arthur Brazier became a pastor in the Woodlawn community, he took on more than just the role of the congregation's spiritual leader. He also became a community leader. Just as Jesus told his disciples, if you love me, feed my sheep, Arthur Brazier believed that the church had a responsibility to fulfill the social dimension of the gospel as well as the spiritual dimension.
I was asked to become a part of the developing organization called the Temporary Woodlawn Organization. It was an organization that was forming to resist urban renewal in the Woodlawn community. I was the first organizing president of the Temporary Woodlawn Organization that was formed in 1960. In 1961, when we formed the permanent organization, we wanted to know what can we call it, because the initials TWO had been in the newspapers quite a bit because we had been very active against slum landlords in protesting university expansion and other kinds of activities. So we decided to keep the TWO and just name the organization the Woodlawn Organization. But around 1964, a new phenomenon developed, one that no one expected, and that was the rise of gang warfare. And there was a serious problem developing between two groups one called the Blackstone Rangers and the other called the East Side Disciples. drugs were not the real problem. The argument was over turf. And there was so much gang violence that the community became really upset. Consequently, the Woodlawn organization made an effort to develop a program whereby these two warring factions could end their violence and be more productive. Shortly after that, the gang problem in Woodlawn diminished greatly and has never resurfaced with the same magnitude that it was in 1964 through 1968. So in all of my 40 years, or 43 years in community life, my central goal, my central theme has been the preaching of the gospel,
Jesus was talking about one
the
thing.
conversion
He was trying
of
to
sinners,
show them that no matter how
and the strengthening
far
of the saints of
away from
God.
the Father you have
That is
no matter
my
how low
first
down and dirty
priority.
you may have been, no matter how you have
Community
put
activity,
everything